What's up, everybody? This is a beautiful day here in Sedona. I'm here with my buddy Jacob.
Pleasure to be here, Kyle.
I'm really excited for this podcast. Jacob's an amazing man, just a powerful healer, longtime friend, and I think this is going to be a really, really good podcast. You know, I think it's just going to be, and kind of interviewing both each other, just kind of going back and forth. Good conversation, you know, and it's so sunny out here in the Sedona right now. I really appreciate you guys tapping into this episode. Thank you for all the support, for everyone, reaching out. And if this is your first time listening, this is a great first episode to listen to. And thank you for, coming back. And if you're welcome, if it's your first time. So, what do you want to kind of just snowball off?
There's one thing you were telling me that a lot of men listen to this podcast. I know women as well. And I could go anywhere, man. My brain is so out there with, as you know, I do healing work. I work with thousands of people. I work probably over around 20,000 people in my lifetime. So this is, it's getting up there. And one subject, like in today's age, I find to be extraordinary, because we were talking about addiction before getting on the mic here. Is capacity. And I think a lot of people in this time and age is learning what capacity means, and holding more capacity, being worthy of more capacity, especially men in addictions. They don't feel valuable enough to hold capacity that they can actually step into their greatness. So, dude, if we could, that's a subject we can go on forever with. Capacity. And, one of my definitions of capacity is to develop it is to keep going into challenge and keep going into the horizons of self. So we'll never discover our horizons of self without challenge. And that means we have to try a new thing. Like if someone's, the bar is not working, I go to the bar and I hit the drink every time. Well, the challenge is actually to do something different to create capacity, and that's how I stay alive in my life. That's like my basic form of aliveness, is where am I not challenging myself and challenging myself in ways that create more capacity and energy.
And I think that's so important. I just had a session with Kimberly. I was telling Jacob before he got here, we started this, is, and she said, what is your next step? Or what do you want that next step to be? And she's like, Spirit and God will only give you what you're able to hold.
Correct.
And so for me, it's like consistency is what I need to work on, right? It's like getting up in the morning and not immediately grabbing my phone. Or she's like, and I feel like
they're working on that one too.
Checking whatever. It's so true, but it's so important to. Okay, so she's like, I want you to do a gong. Like I want you to do 100 days of qigong every morning. And she's
awesome. The 100 days.
100 days.
Yeah.
And she's like,
period of time's good.
But the thing is I'm gonna be brutally honest. Is that was supposed to start today, and here I am. Fell asleep on the couch last night because I was tired. And she's like, everyone's human, right? We can't beat ourselves up, but now it's tomorrow, and that's important. You can't beat yourself up. You're like, okay, well, damn, but. Wake up in the morning, she's like, look at the sunrise, which is, I already get up before the sunrise anyways now. So she's like, start now, do some qigong outside, start doing a gratitude journal, which I've talked about is seriously changed my life, bro.
100%.
Being in gratitude is so, and I was talking to Kayla about this yesterday, is, when you're in such a dark spot, it's like, what is there to be grateful for? It's like you look around and you're like, what the fuck is there to be grateful for? But there's still so much, bro, to be grateful for. And, gratitude has just immensely helped me. But she's like, are you, like how you just said, the challenge, are you ready for that challenge? Because it's like, you've quit drinking for a year, sweet. What is that next step? And I think maybe that's why when people, she even said, is when people hit this, it's like they're done with the pink cloud. They're like, okay, well, now it's time to chop wood, carry water. You know what I mean?
Life gets real.
Yeah, life gets real. You're kind of out of that pink cloud.
Yeah, life gets very real.
Yeah.
I like to say, if we didn't accomplish something and we beat ourselves up, it's worse off than. That is more detrimental than staying in the pattern that you're in and just chilling. But to beat yourself up and judge yourself really just spirals and actually backtracks the whole process. So if we don't do something like, I actually am not too rigid on myself. That's one of my, I've been so rigid throughout my whole life. Discipline. Like if you give me like, do this for 1,000 days, I would do it. So I'm on the opposite spectrum of what you're saying, which also has its shadow. Mm-hmm. So like, I'm like, yeah, I can fucking hit that everyday watch. Bam, 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 bam. And am I loving myself in that process? No, I wasn't. I was like, I nailed it. And it was rigid. Instead of going, can I soften? Can I love myself? Can I discover myself and give myself the space of self-discovery? Because there's one truth in this existence. If you take anything, it's only you doing it. So you're meeting yourself through everything, right? So it's how you're doing it. And if you're going to do it with the rigidity, that's just going to be another shadow that you're going to have to untangle later. But if you do it with more, if you're not doing it, that's another shadow. But right in that sweet spot, can we enter a moment and let the judgment off and let the intensity off and know that you're only meeting you? And that's going to be a profound way to enter any moment, be it relationship, be it the discipline of Qigong. And when seen from that perspective, I feel what's changed for me, life opens up. Everything opens up. Like I'm going to go, I love myself so much. I want to meet myself in this practice today. Who am I? Who is Kyle in this practice in this morning? Wow. That almost opens up doorways, I feel, to doing the practice every day. Because you're like, who am I? Who am I going to meet in this practice going, fuck, I need to do it. If I don't do it, I suck.
Yeah.
My Shifu taught me that from Kung Fu. It's like, can you meet yourself in the moment through this practice? Because it's only you here. There's always going to be only you meeting you in this moment. And do you have more aliveness or less? That's probably the question for any guy.
What do you think made you take that first step in your healing journey? Like, was there a moment where you're just like, I got to do this, or how did it all start?
Yeah, dude. I mean, there comes. Okay, I love the. So I love coming from my heart and coming from compassion and giving people, everyone, the question of the doubt. Just like, all right, I'll give you, like you didn't do it, cool. But there comes a point in, I think, men's lives in particular, where there's an ultimatum. An ultimatum is a alchemical process in someone where you have no choice. So you're either gonna, for me, it was a moment in time when I was 17. I was telling you earlier, I had drug addiction, give me anything, pills, everything from 11, 17. There came a moment at 17. It's like, you're either gonna die or you're gonna live. And it's a cool philosophy going, yeah, I get that. I'm gonna die or live. But when we feel it in the body, I felt it as viscerally going, you're going to either choose to start growing and be who you are, or you're going to die. You're actually going to die. And feeling that ultimatum so deeply into my body broke me open. And then I chose to go through every fear consistently after that. Every fear. It would be feeling that feeling, being the terror of being alive and being who I am and judged. And asking that woman out on a date, or everything after that became a challenge towards my fear, my inner fear. And I call it grace, because whatever woke up in me woke up, and when I do healing work for people, that's what I go towards, and people get inspired. Like, whoa, I feel super lit. It's like, that's the energy. And if we can get that alive in you, you're becoming human. That is the human, like, yes to life. So something happened in that process where I had a choice. I could either live or I could die. And death looked like the guy at the bar shut down from everything, his wife, his children. It looked different ways. Over watching TV too much, that looked like death to me. So it was a radical awakening in my system. Yeah.
And how we were talking about earlier, like with addiction, is you said something so interesting. It's like, addiction, it's like if you flip that, you're like addicted to alcohol. Okay, we'll find that other, addiction you can be addicted to.
Yeah, better and better addictions.
Yeah. And it will deter it, But I feel like when it's so, it could be addiction to alcohol, it could be addiction to drugs, like you said, TV, it could be
love, sex. Yeah. Done it all.
Well, especially being a man, I feel like that's just, there's so many things with it and addiction, and there's so many outs or numbing, and, everyone can do it. Like I've said earlier, it's like, there's an alcohol store, there's a liquor store at every corner, there's a dispensary at every corner.
Isn't that crazy?
It's like, why wouldn't you just numb? It's like, it's right there.
It's right there.
It's literally right.
That's funny you say it that way. Isn't that crazy? We built society around that. Every corner store has liquor in it. It's carrying liquor.
Yeah.
One of my definitions to guide the inner process around addiction is going, is it connecting you into life or disconnecting you from it? And then you'll know if you're getting better and better at this game called life, where your strategy is actually becoming more connective, or is it becoming less? So there's better and better addictions, we could say, like running. Like I was telling you earlier, I got off all these drugs from getting tennis shoes and running. That's a better addiction. And also that addiction connected me more into life. So I like to say, is it connecting you into the web of aliveness and creating purpose, or is it disconnecting you from that? And that's something each of us have to confront for a well-lived life.
Yeah. And I feel like that was me at such an extent, bro. Like personally, on my own personal journey, I was just coasting, bro. Like so many, it's sad. It's true. It's, the alcohol is just, I was telling Jacob over here, my mentor, he says like alcohol is just a total soul robbery. Like, it just takes away. It's interesting you say like today, you're like, you have such a light in your eyes, like you're here, this like you can feel it. When you're drinking, bro, there's not that. And you can see that. It doesn't matter if it's a friend, a family member, that their eyes, like Kimberly told me, the eyes are the way to the soul. And it's so true. And she started saying that, and you can truly see it. Like you can see a sparkle in someone's eyes when they are clean and doing the healing and doing, that thing. But they're doing their journey. How have you, what are some things that you've helped people through, and how did you do it?
Dude, the main thing I help people through is fear. It's like, what is driving us? Why do we go to the prostitute every week? Why do we, I've worked with so many people. I've seen everything. Like just recently with someone who was fresh out of jail, and, you can't say too much, but like, let's just say, I can see what we're capable of in the darkest ways, God. So what I do, the best way I think I guide people is to make them feel safe and just be in my own body. Just like you, like I'm feeling like you have this wonderful embodiment to be open and just like receive people. Like, hey, I'm here with you. Like, let's discover. I think one of the best things I can do for others and how helping them is to accept them right where they are. And not be like, hey, you're an alcoholic, stop drinking. It's going, hey man, how do you feel? Like, tell me more. Let me understand you before I give you any advice. Like, let me come down there with you. And a lot of them know the new age people are like, don't go down there. For me, I'm my own person, so I don't follow any philosophy. And, I've been around. I like going down there with people. I'm so in love with humanity. I'm so in love with what makes people do something. Like, what made you go to that level? Let me understand you. The funny thing that happens in that self-acceptance, being there with someone, truly being there, it opens the light. It opens a possibility. From the self-acceptance, they go, thank you finally for seeing me. And in that very love, that very act of love, they move beyond it. It's something I can't describe yet. It's something divine, but that's what I do with people. So I'm not doing anything. I'm just with them in the deepest way I can possibly muster. I think that's the main key right there.
And I think how you said, I totally agree with you. Without the dark, without the light, like correct, you have to. Like I had to go through the darkest times in my life to be able to sit here in front of this camera with a mic in front of me talking to you today. Yeah, dude. Like if I didn't go through the shit that I went through and like hitting rock bottom.
Yeah, that's it.
I wouldn't.
What was that rock bottom for you though? Because I can see the light in your. See, look. If I look at your eyes, like just to be right on it. I love stuff like this because like what we're doing right now is we're just talking. We're just man to man right now. But like you got clear eyes. Your eyes are clear. So what? Wow,
that's a big jet.
That's a jet. Yeah. What made you? Because like I can feel your heart, man. Like it's very palpable. So you hit rock bottom, but something opened for you in that rock bottom. Something. Was it gradual? Was it sudden? And now, but it's a cool thing to see you on the heal part of it. Look what you're doing right now. Yeah. You're in service, which I believe. This is just my opinion. If I say anything here, it's just opinions. I believe service is the ultimate healer. I really do. So when we heal our self-centered self, then we're in service. This is what you're doing right now. You're in service. So you've turned something into gold.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like, you know, it truly, when I was going through that, this moment, bro, felt like beyond a reach. There was no grabbing. There was no reaching that point. It was so, this wasn't even
isn't that interesting?
This wasn't even,
the horizon wasn't there. No horizon. Yeah.
This was like in a different world. This is like, this was me in my next life. This was not even in this life.
Wow.
Seriously,
it wasn't a possibility.
No, it was not a possibility. It wasn't even. No, and truly, bro, like I was in so many years of numbing, right? And yeah, there was a certain moment where it just clicked. Like it was probably the darkest, probably the most, like, going through my father and things like that were not my self-inflicted wounds. Like this was the darkest point in my life. Is one day I was just drinking, bro. I called to work. And I was just like, you know, I was drinking and I was drinking to numb. Moving home in the beginning was the worst thing for me, but now it's the most beautiful, prosperous thing that ever happened to me, right? And that's why for anyone listening to this is like, it could be your worst thing ever. Like you have to move home or something happened, you know, it could be any situation, and it could be the most beautiful blossom start of something so major, right? So I called to work and I just was basically like, I was just not being me, right? And there was a moment where I'm sitting out and I was just super sick and I was like puking from drinking alcohol, and I was just like sitting there, bro. And I remember just, honestly, Jacob, I have never felt so low in my life, bro. I literally was sitting there and I was like puking and I was like, well, I've lost myself, bro. Like this moment right here, I have had, I'm so much better than this. Like my life is, I have a purpose for here, and this is not my purpose. But I felt so low, bro. Like I felt like I was almost like it was hell, bro. Like I felt so like there was demons. I mean, everything. I felt so low, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I've got to get help. Like I don't know what that is, what that entails, you know. And I was gonna do like either a treatment or I was gonna go do a 5-day ketamine NAD cleanse, like treatment, and I trusted this doctor and it changed my life, and here I am in front of you. Okay. You know, but
incredible. And so the ketamine opened you to a new perspective.
Well, it was interesting, bro. The first day I didn't take it serious. I went there and I put my headphones on. I had Beats headphones and I put on EDM and I just went into a trance. And I did ketamine once through recreationally, and I was like, I didn't really see the point. Like, I saw things spinning and I was just like, okay, well, why would that help? I've been very empathic ever since I was little. I've seen ghosts. I can feel energies.
Okay, same.
Like
ghost thing.
like I've always felt energy, and now being sober and clean and not drinking, bro, my abilities have risen again. But as a kid, they were numbed because I was just numbing, right? And so you don't feel that, right?
Probably overwhelming too. You're growing up.
Totally, bro.
You probably use substances to get along.
Totally.
Pretty much, you know, in a world that isn't accepting itself, in a world not yet, in a world that doesn't know what to do with sensitivity, doesn't know what to do with intelligence, and awakeness and confrontation. Because awakeness, what you are now, is a confrontation to sleeping.
Totally. Yeah.
Your very embodiment is a confrontation to the dark, which is beautiful. You know, of course we have to numb out because we don't want to confront all the darkness.
And I think that was
especially
me, so young, bro. Like, and it was just easier. Like, and that was a pattern. And it's not. It's like, you awaken, but now you gotta like break those patterns. You know, it's like, okay, well, I used to run. Well, when shit got tough, I can't do that anymore. You know, when shit got tough with my father, whatever, I'd pick up a beer. You know, it's just like it was easier to numb out. But so that was a whole, journey. But the first day I just numbed it and I kind of just went with it and went to a trance. And then every other day, like I had therapy Tuesday, Thursday. I saw Kimberly Wednesday. And then the second day I remember saying like, this is not why I'm here. I didn't come here to like sit on my phone and look at Instagram and just like numb out, right? Like I deleted all my apps. I put a sweatshirt over my eyes. I put the headphones on and I was like, it's time to get to work.
Awesome.
And it was interesting. I told you about esoteric acupuncture. I did a session like 3 months before that. 2 months, and I was drinking at the time, and there was a hand, like like in the Harry Potter movie, you put your head in, and you can see like the future or whatever. There was a hand, and Jacob, I couldn't grab it. I was trying, bro. I'm like trying to jump. I'm trying to climb on the walls. I cannot grab this hand. Well, the very last day of my treatment, there's the hand. I'm like grabbed it and pulled me up, and it was one of my ex-girlfriend's father. I was very, very close with George.
Wow.
And I'm in a powwow. I'm like I'm all dressed up. We're dancing. I'm in a whole powwow. I probably cried for like 2 hours. I had a conversation with George, who has always been a guide for me when I was little. Just things like that. And that started that started it. But yeah, and how you said, if you don't walk in the darkness, so like, if I didn't go through all that, bro, I wouldn't be able to have this podcast. And like Ben, my therapist, asked me, he's like, would you have changed anything on your journey? And yeah, I was fucked up. Like everything I went through, I would have not rather gone through. But at the same time, no, I wouldn't change it, because I wouldn't be able here giving the space, holding the space for anybody to talk about.
Oh, totally. I don't have no regrets in my life. None.
I agree.
I couldn't say that a couple of years ago, but I have no regrets.
True.
Absolute none.
True.
I love it where I am. I mean, and I'm excited where it's going to go. I think that's the place to be, but no regrets from being so low, almost dying, making horrible choices hurting people. That's a big one that I think a lot of people need to get over. It's like what we learn from hurting others too in that process. I think, because that's addiction. Addiction has a lot of shame in it. It's like tremendous amounts of shame and guilt. It's like, oh, I've hurt those people, and even come to terms with that and redeeming ourselves and forgiving ourselves and forgiving them and asking for forgiveness. Forgiveness is probably one of the craziest healing modalities that Jesus dropped on this earth. I think I could, real. Like when I really went into forgiveness, I broke open my heart and into this ability to know that there's a higher power than myself, and let it in. Oh, something happened on there.
Yeah, it's like
it's all good. Yeah, so I don't know about you, but when I wake up, I've been having tremendous amounts of gratitude that life even exists, that I'm here, and that basic aliveness to know that you get to make a choice today that can be loving, that can help the world, inspires me beyond. And to know that I have a choice to be of service is beyond. Even before doing this, I prayed to God. I was talking to God. I pray all day. That's all I do. And I said, please, just whatever we're going to talk about, let me just be of service to whomever. I'm good, and please. And then I can just let go of the reins and just say, God, work through me, work through this moment. And man, my life has been getting so exciting just from doing that. I'm meeting the right people, relationships, everything. It's incredible. That very intention. How can I be of service to the whole today? How can I be of service to the whole in this moment? And then all the fear goes away, all the anxiety, anything. I'm just like, oh my God, it's not so self-centered anymore. It's like I get to discover myself and my capacity by being with humanity. And it's interesting in spiral dynamics psychology too. Like the higher we go, we actually identify with humanity, not disidentify. So now I'm feeling like the whole world's me, and I'm like, oh my God, so higher levels of communion and interpersonal, transpersonal feelings, which is pretty amazing. With addiction, which is the very opposite, it's self-centered. Then you heal, and you become larger and larger, and then everyone kind of becomes you in a healthy way, in a healthy, of course, not like a empathic, oceanic merging experience, but a real capacity to hold everyone as you. Pretty awesome. And
I think that's why this is so powerful, like this podcast is the amount of, like I told you, like the amount of men who've reached out, and because I think that men need a platform because we're taught to numb, right? Like we're taught to have no feelings, tough it out.
Yeah,
you can't cry, tough it out.
Yeah, if you cry, you make me uncomfortable. Don't do it.
And that was something
I make myself uncomfortable. No, I'm not gonna do it. It's so silly.
It's true, and Caleb wanted me to talk to you about this.
Okay, let's hear it.
And he said, will you touch on how vulnerability is power?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, cool. You know what's coming? So, how I work is I let the silence respond a lot of times. I'm sitting, I'm like, I wonder what response is going to have. And I heard something really awesome right when he said that. And I can't wait for one day with you, Caleb, and I are just sitting together and talking. I think that'd be a fun
I have a third mic, so we need to get him up here.
Yeah, okay.
Or we'll go down there.
Well, vulnerability is, first of all, what is vulnerability? And I'm just gonna I like to make my own definitions of things. Okay. So I always make my own definitions of things. So I'm being authentic. I'm being true to my path. Vulnerability is how deeply one can go in oneself and express it. Done. Okay? So how could that not be strong? Because more of yourself is coming into the moment. And if the self is the truest power, because the more deep we go, the more power there is to discover. So vulnerability is the road to power. Vulnerability is the road to genius. Vulnerability is the road to knowledge, and knowledge is power. So if guys are like, oh, I don't know how I feel, I don't care, I'm tough, they are some of the weakest people, because all they got is a couple biceps, you know. But if we want to discover what we're made of, our gusto, you could say, our true chutzpah, whatever you want to say, it's gonna be to go as deeply as you can go into your feelings and be able to communicate them into the world. That's going to allow the river of life to rush through you and touch everyone around you. That's courage. That's power. That's vulnerability. So that's how I sense vulnerability. You know, so when someone, so let's use an example. So if someone, you know, if I'm that deep in myself and I've come to that depth of darkness and light and, you know, that pain my dad gave me or my mom gave me or the bully gave me when I was 5, and then it shows up again because I've touched that, someone comes to my reality, I'm able to stay in my center. I don't lose my center. So vulnerability also takes us into our center point. And once we heal and we're really there, so when the world comes at us in different ways, we're able to stay centered. And that's presence. And presence is the ultimate power that we can touch in this world. I
think it's so important to be vulnerable. You know, like for me, I think that was the scariest thing starting this is like,
yeah, sure.
You know,
hey world.
Like and anyone can listen to this, you know, like this is for the world, you know. And,
totally.
And, you know,
it's freaky to share ourselves.
It is. And I think that how we tap in earlier is like forgiveness of the ones we've hurt. It's like, okay, well, I'm sure there's... Big. Caleb and I did the last episode, 2 episodes ago, about forgiveness.
Oh, cool.
And so that
I'm just
you're just
riding on the tails of this.
And it's so true. Like, in forgiveness of, I think, ourselves is the most like important, but also hardest one, right? Yeah. And I'm still working on that too. You know, there's people like past relationships or things that I said or ways that I acted that I wish I could take back. Yeah. And you know, but at the same time, my therapist said, you know, regrets are only valuable for the lessons that they teach us.
Agreed.
And it's so like we could hold on to that, but at the same time, it's like that's not me anymore, right? That was the Kyle 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Right. You know, this is the Kyle now, and you know, it's important to try to forgive ourselves for the ways that we used to be. And like now, I'm on this new path. You know, like I had how you said, there's the light and the dark. Like there's either a right or a left, you know what I mean? And when are you going to be able to take that? And when are you willing to take that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like, and thank God for guilt and shame. And the reason I'm going to say that is it's your inner intelligence recorrecting your soul. So if we actually see it that way rather than a self-punishment, and it's more of a correction going, okay, yeah, that made me feel shame. Let me let go of the shame and see if there's wisdom within this. Yeah, I do want to shift that. I shouldn't, you know, drink 5 beers before I talk to my wife. You know, I should, you know, connect with whatever. This person I should take a couple deep breaths in my heart and see if I'm emotionally connected before I have an emotional conversation with someone. So, you know, shame, guilt, these are corrective elements that aren't judgments. They're corrective elements of the soul saying, hey, I guarantee if you do a little correction, you'll feel better. And you're like, hey, that does feel better when I do it like that. Oh, so we can see in this new light of that, this universe, I mean, I say to everyone, you got to make a distinction right now. We either live in a chaotic universe or we live in a benevolent universe. You know, it's up to you. And if we live in a benevolent universe, which is a big fucking statement, because everyone would be challenged by that. Like, there's darkness and there's this and that. But if you really choose that we live in a benevolent universe, that means everything's a biofeedback of consciousness happening for us to realign. And we have this incredible body that's alive and awake to tell you through sensation where that offset is and where the alignment is. It's almost like God's on our side every moment, and we have to realize it
100%
through our sensations. And so then we don't have to beat ourselves up as much and just go, okay, what am I learning? You know, we were talking about that, I think, earlier here, is like, you know, we can judge ourselves for not doing Qigong, or we can go, you know what? I made this pact with myself that I'm going to start doing Qigong, and I know if I do it, it might feel better. So let me go test that. And then go test it out and be like, yeah, I do feel better today. Or maybe you're like, no, actually I don't. And you're like, okay, maybe there's a different practice for me. So, you know, interesting feedbacks that way.
And I think you I got a tattoo of the yin and yang, and
Cool.
And
Love that symbol, by the way.
I think for me personally, it's like you can't have the light without the dark. Like how I was saying
agree
earlier,
with that. Yeah.
you know, like you got to walk in the dark to kind of come up on top in the light, and it's lessons learned, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's so it's so powerful, right? To like even go touch on that some more is we need to learn from it. You, like the light and the dark, they have to have the same path, and you kind of integrate to learn from each other. And you know, it's like if you know, and gratitude too is like how to gratitude for it, right? And how you said, you know, I made a pact with myself to do Qigong today, and I could sit here today, you know, I think it's February 17th or whatever, but I could sit here and say, okay, I was supposed to start on the 16th, and I told a couple of podcasts ago, you know, the first podcast, everyone has all these big New Year's resolutions. Everyone's like, oh, I'm going to quit drinking. I'm going to go to the gym every day. I'm going to do whatever that your New Year's resolution is. Okay, maybe you got up January 2nd, bro, and you didn't do it. And now mentally you're like, it's already done, right? Like, I already didn't do it.
I can't go past this.
You know, and that was me, bro. Like when I'm going to quit drinking on January 1st. Okay, but now, bro, like I quit on February 5th, and now I'm like a year and a week.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah, cool.
You can still, it's just as powerful on February 5th than it is January 1st. Like if you're listening to this today and you already, your New Year's resolution is done, or maybe you started 75 hard and you didn't finish it. Whatever it is, okay, use this as a data point. Like my friend was reading a book, and it was, and it said, instead of like, let's say you quit drinking, right? And you're like 3 years sober, and then you relapse, for say. Instead of beating yourself up, being like, holy fuck, like I did it, you know, like I'm a nobody, I drink again, you know, people around me are gonna think I'm a failure, whatever. That whole spiral, how you said, you could spiral down. Instead of using that, reframe that and say it's a data point. Okay, that's a data point. Okay, good. So now that data point, where you know it goes up. So I think just reframing that, and words, bro, are so powerful. Like how we speak to ourselves in our heart is so. That's something I'm working on is the I am statements. My heart chakra is something
the I am
I've been
statements. Good for you.
I've been working on for like 2 years.
Good job.
Is the heart chakra.
Yeah, so. I mean your body, your every cell is eating up what your inner dialogue is. You know, every moment we're eating up anything. I mean, whatever we're thinking, we're eating up how abundant, prosperous we are, how, you know, everything. We got to be aware. We need to awaken to what really is my inner dialogue in this moment. Like even in this moment, my inner dialogue in this moment is actually receiving you and being curious about this experience. And what happens to my body and my cells, they start opening up, and I'm like, this is good. Like, so every moment can be, what is our inner dialogue here? It's so fascinating. In really, that inner dialogue and expectation creates our reality. It seeps into creating the experience in such significant ways. And I've tested that with really pretty women. Well, you know, I'm single now, which and I'm learning so much because I was a serial monogamous forever. And like, I'll see a beautiful woman, right? And I'll be having dinner by myself. Like, I'll go out, I'll take myself out to dinner, and I'll see her. I'm like, I'm going to go say hi to her. And in the past, I was like, no, I can't. That'd be awkward. And then the moment I'm like, you know what? Reality is so fluid and beautiful, and everyone's going to respond by what my inner dialogue
100%.
is. So I went up to a person, I've done this plenty of times now. But I'll go
all the time.
Yeah, actually every day. Hey, is that brand on it? It's a pretty woman. But it was one of my blocks of where the dialogue was off, and I was like, oh, let me just see if I can just engage someone randomly like that with an open heart. Every single time, with open arms, I make new friends. It doesn't have to be romantic. It's incredible how much our inner dialogue affects outer responses and how life unfolds for us. It's amazing. And to get back to the dark and the light, the yin yang, why I like that symbol is I had a teacher. I studied with the Sufis for like 12 years. I got initiated in 5 religions by like 24. The Sufis, though, were very interesting And my teacher would say, he would go, do you want to stay in heaven or do you want to become whole? He goes, I'm gambling you're going to become whole. Now, what he meant by that is that I was a goody two-shoes back then. After I got sober, then I went into the overly light path. I was like, goody two-shoes, everything's good, I'm going to stay light, I got to stay light. And I was stuck. I was stuck in heaven. And heaven's great. It's a great place to be. It's like, it's kind of like the Bahamas. It's a resort. You get to chill. You get free margarita. I don't know. It's probably not the right thing to say, but everything's good. But the thing is this. And then he's like, I said, what does he mean by that? And that's when I went into my dark. And I realized that dark was as important, if not equal, to the light.
100%.
So yin-yang, if we take the yin-yang, for example, okay, we can play in the yin-yang forever. It bounces back and forth. But who's the circle holding it all? And to me, that's my definition of God. God's like, yo, if you want to discover me, know both and welcome both as equals, and then you'll transcend. But staying in heaven doesn't mean you know God. You just know heaven, and heaven's a great place. If you just stay in hell's a place. You'll have an experience there. It's hellish, right? But if you're able to have your elevator, what I found is the elevator to go onto all floors, that's the moment you find out who's actually the elevator. And that's God. God's like, I love the whole creation. And, that's what I found through embracing the dark and light as an act of alchemy for transcendence into what I can, without a doubt call God in my bones, and going, oh, God was in all of it. But it wasn't in one of it. It was in both, understanding it. Yeah. That's why I love the yin yang symbol.
It's so powerful. And like Kimberly, I was talking to her about the same situation a while ago.
Nice.
And she said, like a healer, for instance, like just like how you are, if you can only take someone from where they are to as far as they've traveled. You personally, 100%. Jacob, have traveled, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So if you've only done like the work from A to K, so you can only take someone from A to K, and then after that K, you got to pass them on to somebody else.
100%.
If you haven't gone from I think that's the most powerful people. Like I'm sure there's people listening to this that have friends or mentors like you. The most powerful people, bro, are the ones that have come from jail.
Some of the most profound people came from jail.
And the most powerful
for real.
And like how to turn those lessons, right? Like. Everything I truly believe, bro, happens for a reason. Yeah, I'm a true believer. You could anything, bro. And I think it's so important to come from on that kind of lesson. Is like everything happens for a reason. No matter if it's the most messed up thing that's ever happened to your life or the best thing that's ever happened to you. Like how you learn from and how you make yourself become uncomfortable is like the most powerful things. That's it. It's
funny you say that. I mean, like in the jail part of some of the most powerful people, I found that, even in my practice, some of the most authentically relatable people that I've come across have had the most darkness that would scare the shit out of anybody, and they are so here. And I don't know what happened to their heart, but it broke open. And I'm like, I could trust this guy. He scares me a little. He scares me a little, but he's very real. and the realness coming off of him, that's what my Sufi teacher would say. I've had a lot of mentors and elders in my life. I've worked with lots of elders. And he would always say, become real. Become a real person. He was incredible. John Ferdowsi Wyrick. I love him so much. And I still talk to him every month. I love him. Become a real person. And that real person means you have to go through the shit. And then you're relatable. Because the person who's high up here, we can't relate to them. It can be really hard. I mean, it's beautiful, but to really be real and relate, someone who's walked the path, that you can't refute. That there's something grounded in that philosophy. And my Shifu, my Chinese Kung Fu teacher, would say, if you have an insight of oneness, like some people do plant medicines, which awesome, if that's your doorway, they'll get this oneness experience. Like, the rainbow lizard comes or whatever, God comes, and they're like, yo, we're one. And you're like, oh my God, we're one. And that's an exceptional insight. I hope we all get that there's a matrix of love and oneness. Cool. Then you came back down here and you're like, okay, life's happening now. My Shifu would say, now punch that bag as fast as you can, 30 minutes, in oneness. Let's see the oneness move through your body and punch that bag. And then that becomes the reality. And you find out where you really are. Not to say that wasn't real. That's very real. That insight was so exceptional. But as we bring it down here, it becomes relatable. And I think that's all of our big responsibilities is how do we take the beautiful insights we had and make them very real so people can palpably feel them. And that is an art. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I'll be punched in the back for only like 5 minutes and then throw up.
I'm not.
I'll throw up and say, okay, punch back again. I'm like, oh God, can I have some water? No, oneness. I have a long journey ahead of me.
And I think that's the most beautiful thing, bro, is everyone has a journey, and everyone,
correct.
Like, we're so easy, I've said this before, like, we're so easy to judge people around us or people walks. We did that men's hike with Caleb. This is a while ago for the full moon, and this guy, Michael, came on, and randomly, he just walked with us, and at the very end, we were closing the circle, and he said, I want everyone to just realize every person you walk by is on their own path. Everyone's dealing with something. Everyone's having their own path. Like, don't judge. Everyone is is trying their best or doing their best. Whether, maybe like I may have never taken that next step. Like, you asked me, like, what was that moment? Maybe that moment would have taken me till I was 40. Luckily, it was when I was 28, and I was like, this is it. But maybe it will take that person or your friend or your brother or your husband or your wife or whatever that moment is, it might take them a little bit. And, you can't, all you can do is help and try to, like, send in good energy and pray or whatever that being is for you. What is a practice that has helped you heal?
A practice that helped me heal. The greatest practice that's helped me heal is to, and I did today, I've been doing it for years now, wake up in the morning and authentically be with my feelings. Connect to my feeling self, not my mental self, because I used to shoot up. I was like, peace out, I'm going to shoot up to higher consciousness. It's more going, what am I actually feeling? And do I have the capacity to hold that and not judge it? That was the beginning of my healing right there in an authentic way. The next part was now do that in the world, do that with others, do that with, sharing on a, podcast or sharing it with anyone you meet. And I love being kind. I love understanding people. It's probably my favorite thing to do in this. Yeah. Like when I'm at a dinner party and someone's like, what's your hobby? I'm like, safety. What's yours? And they're like, bowling. So I'm like, cool. And it's safe. And I love, I feel a sense we might have a camaraderie here in this because I really want to understand people. I want to put myself in their shoes. I want to, and that's probably so healing as well, to just understand people and understand what makes them feel safe, what makes us feel embodied, connected to, and watch that purpose come from there, But my greatest practice is to be with uncomfortable feelings, be with feeling in general. And I had to relearn that. That was actually a relearning experience that took me 5 years of intensity every day, easily. And now I do it every day. It's like my natural thing. But prior to that, I was going to horse therapy, dude. I was doing all kinds of things just to try to tap into. And I thought I was feeling like, one of my exes, I'd be like, I'm feeling, but she's like, you're thinking about your feelings. You're not feeling your feelings. I'm like, no, I'm feeling my feelings. I'm like, no, this is sadness. And she goes, exactly. You're seeing it. You're not feeling it. And I'm like, And I was like, this is like a koan. Like, what's the sound of one hand clapping? I was like, I don't get it. And then there was a breakthrough moment where I did learn there's a vast difference between thinking about our feelings and feeling our feelings. And once I really got into the niche of how to feel the feelings through my body, through breath work helped a lot. Dude, everything changed. And then I was like, oh my God, I love myself. I'm much more comfortable. Now I can be with the shame. I can be with these things that my fears, my anxieties, and really authentically start moving through fear after fear. That was the rainbow slide moment where I'm like, oh my God. Once I learned how to feel, breathe, connect to my heart self. I call it the heart self. So in the morning I go, am I connected to my heart self, my feeling self before any other practice? Because if I'm not, it's not going to be useful. So here's an example. So one person can sit and breathe and not connect to themselves. They're just sitting and breathing, and they can breathe really well. Another person can sit, breathing, and intend connection to self. And there's a vast difference between those practices. So I made my practice connect to self and everything that I am every day. And that was a game changer. Even towards the feminine and learning to really learn women as well. And the woman has been one of my greatest teachers as well, to listen, to receive, slow down, breathe more than I talk. She'll feel safer, and then I'll learn a whole nother language of what it means to feel, heal, and be calm. That's been a big one too.
What has helped you like connect to oneness? Like what helps you in the morning to be able to do that?
Oneness. Nice. Okay. Oneness isn't different from myself, so it's connection to myself. It's just authentic connection to the energy and how it's moving through my body in this moment in time. Without the self-referential. We're all in oneness right now. Yeah. But I think the one thing that displaces us out of oneness is a self-referential consciousness. So like, I'm Jacob, I'm having an experience. Like, yeah, but if I go underneath that layer, there's just this flow of breath and life, and that chi, that prana, that life energy takes me into this sense of connection and interconnectedness, which also creates a pain-free experience as well, because it's flowing, the flowing energy.
And we're so full of chi. Like that's something I really realized, like doing qigong. It's like you can feel it.
Yeah, we talked about this in the past.
Like it really has helped me being able to like replenish my chi. Also, release old chi and bring in new chi.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like it's really helped me.
What's your process to touch that place that we just spoke about, the oneness place, that ability to be with life, and what's your definition and experience of oneness? Like, what is this? What's your ongoing relationship to this?
I think oneness, how it started with me, is how you said sit in your feelings.
Yeah,
like being able to like
exactly.
Like, and someone asked me, I was like playing a game with like those, you pull a stick like and it has a question on it, and it said what is your definition of happiness? And I'm sitting there and I said being able to sit in yourself. Like,
Great answer.
I think, and I was like, wow, that was pretty good.
Don't you like when they come through like that?
It's so true. It's like being able to sit, honestly, bro, like, because I think I was so scared to do that for so many years.
Yeah.
Like to be able to literally sit there, bro, and be like one with myself, my thoughts.
Nice.
Not tapping out, listening. If I have anxiety, what is that teaching? Where is that anxiety in my body? What is it trying to show me?
Exactly.
What is it trying to teach me? And, I think that's been the most powerful thing to help me, qigong, gratitude. But yeah, I think to get, centered back is to be able to sit in yourself.
Yeah.
Like truly being able to sit down and say, okay, I'm feeling angry today. Why am I angry? Listen to that emotion.
Yeah.
Breath work is something I need to start practicing more. I would love for you to give me some tools on that, Caleb, too.
Breath is I gotta say, if I were to say anything, this is opinion, but I think breath is the secret to life. I really do. I think breath is the key to unlock everything. Breath with connection, there's no limits. Because the breath is what infuses and unlocks the body, and the body has all the secrets. We were talking about acupuncture. Well, in Chinese medicine, every organ's of personality has a gift. So the deeper we breathe, the deeper we experience. It's just going to become an embodied experience. That I like to say, once our breath reaches all the way down to our toes, you are fully in your body. It's like, I'm here. I'm in this experience. So the deeper the breath, the deeper the intimacy. The deeper the intimacy, the deeper the experience. The deeper the experience, the deeper the revelations. The deeper the revelations, you are now a sovereign being experiencing life. Whoa. And especially in this time and age. Like, who's a sovereign thinker? That's a fun thought. I like to say, I feel like you like to reflect, but a lot of people will just take anything outside them and just take it as truth instead of going, hang on, let me tap into my breath, let me tap into my experience. What's my inner self saying? That's incredible. And the deeper that breath goes, the deeper, I want to say, the revelations and everything. And we can test this out with animals. Like, I work with horses, and a good friend, Michelle Peterson, we'll throw that out there, she has a horse ranch here in Sedona, amazing being. I work with her horses, and I learned how to attune to them. And if my breath is off, I ain't gonna connect with a horse. Nor am I gonna connect with another person. But if my breath is embodied in the rhythm and the vibration, these are hermetic principles. Dude, miracles happen. Like miracles. The horse will come right into me. Nuzzle. Especially a draft horse, which is like, it's ridiculously gigantic. So there's something to say about that, you know? There's something to say about that.
And I think for like, you know, it's so interesting because you have this such a presence, bro. Like you walk in and you have this
thanks, bro. I don't even know. I'm like a fish in water.
No, but every time I
bro.
see you, no matter
Thank
where
you,
it is,
dude.
I always
appreciate that.
But you can tell that from somebody. And
Yeah,
I remember
thanks.
sitting across from my really good friend Albinette. Shout out if you're listening to this. I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting. This is way before I even started my own healing journey. And I remember sitting across from him at breakfast, and I could feel it.
Stay cool.
And I was like sitting there, and I'm like, fuck, bro, like I want that.
You have that, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have that. Yeah. Because like, well, let's talk about the eyes, all right? Let's just eye gaze. You know, your eyes speak of your heart, dude. If I look right in your eyes, I feel light, and I see the word Shen. You know what that means?
Yeah.
Okay, your Shen is there. It means you're connected to your heart. Trustworthy. You have chi running through you. It's all there. You can sense you're sensitive, dude. You're there. You're there. And it's cool. And I like to say this, like, we only can pick up the vibrations that we're all inheriting ourselves. Because like, you only can, like, it's like I have a Subaru, so I see all the fucking Subarus on the road.
Same, bro.
Right? There you go. Yeah, so it's the same concept internally with energy. So if you're seeing that in me, guess what? You're vibing, dude. You're seeing a reflection of yourself. It's matching an energy inside of you. That's the oneness experience. And it's funny, we can do that with cars and other things. We're like, oh, I just bought a Subaru, and it's like, well, blue. Now I see all blue Subarus, and it's the same vibrationally with energy in us. So if we see something beautiful in another, that beauty is waking up inside of us. That's and if we can own that, and I like to say it's my friend Kat, Miss Excel, amazing being. She would say subconscious expander. So take, for example, you see someone, you're like, that's freaking rad. They are subconsciously expanding you into that quality already, if we can own it. So a lot of people will see something and compete with it instead of going, oh, they have it, I don't. Instead of going, they have it, I'm inspired. That inner self is already expanding that quality to be owned inside of me. So, you know, that's what's happening here, you know, whatever you see anywhere.
It's so powerful, bro, because it's so it's so true, you know. Like I remember just sitting across from him and being like, damn, bro.
Yeah,
like
that's
I
cool.
want that. I can feel it. And you know, I've told him before, like that situation, and now I thank you for you.
Here's a question though for you. How are you already that?
Oh, so, I don't think it stops.
Yeah, is it no? But is that cool? Like instead of like how you like, you know, I'm saying it for like everyone, even for myself. You know, like you see something we see something we like, and you know, to go, how am I already that? Instead of going, oh, I want that. Going, how am I already that? And that's gonna make us own it even quicker. And going, oh my God, I'm just this freaking rad person, and this person wants to hang out with me too, which is even radder if you're admiring them. I mean, it's just, you know, owning the qualities more and more.
And I think like also surrounding yourself with it's like so important. Caleb and I talk about that too, but it's like
that's a big one.
You know, like hanging out, you can feel that, right?
Yeah,
you can feel those people around you. It's like playing with better players, you know, hanging out with better players, you know, and it's so powerful, dude. And it's so crazy, you know, the more people I interview or talk to, it seems like everyone is. It's crazy. Like we think, our path is so hard, or like, you know, no one can resonate with me. Like in the situation I'm in is so difficult. No one else can listen or resonate with. But then you start talking to other men, bro, and it's like everyone is feeling the same thing, bro. Everyone is going through the same battles. Everyone is doing the same, you know, is having the same hurdles. And,
well said.
And it's so important to like realize it's not just you, right? Like it's so powerful.
Yeah, thank God it's not just us.
Yeah, no,
no,
bro.
It's a lonely experience to hold that belief too. I gotta get close, but it's lonely to hold that, and maybe that's the power of vulnerability too. Going, you know what? I'm just gonna go out and share myself, and we're gonna inspire so many people, and I get the fear around it. I used to be so fucking afraid to just share my truth, and then I just. People are like, how did you get through that fear? Practice. It didn't just disappear through meditation. I wasn't like hypnosis. It was through action. And going, you know what? I'm going to try it out. And I'm going to try it here. And it was sloppy. And then one day I'm just like, oh my God. And that actually re-identified me with the world, which is cool. And I know a lot of men isolate. They like to isolate. It's kind of like a male quality at this time on the earth plane as the majority. This isn't everyone. But as the majority, men just take the burden inside their body and they put it in there and they just shut up and they go with it, you know, and they isolate. And this is a process to finally belong again, the art of belonging, which I know was a big wound for me. It's like, how the fuck do I belong? Especially being sensitive, right? I bet you had a similar, probably a similar, yeah, dude. Yeah, and then I can see it. I can feel it. Yeah, it's freaking awesome. And it's your superpower. That's a superpower. Yeah. If you weren't sensitive, you wouldn't have the sensitivities to do this, what we're doing right now.
It's true.
Because you wouldn't be inclined to learn. You wouldn't be inclined to learn about someone and share. So, you know, how do we bring back this belonging for men in a world of non-initiation where men are doing stupid shit for initiation a lot of times, like in high school?
Totally, bro. And I think that's like, I was talking to Kimberly about this yesterday. It's like, you know, men, we feel lost. Like our age group, in their 20s or 30s, they're lost, bro. They don't know how to control their emotions. They lash out. They get in trouble. They numb. You know, and it's like, we're in a world where it's so hard. We're trying to rewrite like manhood, right? And I think it's so important. That's why I love this platform. Is like, it's vulnerability is power, bro. Being able to talk about your problems is power. Being sensitive is a power. And I think it took me, honestly, bro, the last couple of years to learn that. Like I was raised by my mother solely. And so, like, I remember going to parties, bro, and, like, going out, and I would bring, like, my toothbrush and my face wash and shit to parties, and my friends would be like, bro, again? I'm like, because I don't know, I took care of myself. I guess I had, like, more...
You partied, right?
Have some liquid IV packets, you know, whatever. But, like, I'm the least fucking handy person ever, and it's frustrating, bro. It's frustrating, like, you know, like, it's funny, but we all have qualities. I guess it's like being raised by my mother was so powerful, and having those like feminine, I guess, abilities is a power. Being able to talk about your stuff,
dude, 1000%. I mean, I gotta be honest. Like, I've been in some men's groups where the predominance becomes over aggression and going hoo, and I'm like, great, it's awesome to tap into the primal. We need to feel 100%. That power. Like I think men need to tap that too. But when that becomes the emphasis, when that becomes the competition, when that becomes, we've lost it, dude. We've lost. It's like, break open, be soft. Can I say I love you and you receive it? And if a man can't do that, good luck in life, because that's imbalanced. A man has to be able to be flexible, heart-centered, feeling. And if he's only this hoorah, and I've seen, and it's funny, a lot of men will predominate towards that. I was talking to a friend the other day. I was like, if you put 20 men here together, and random men, so you don't know each other, they will predominate towards what they define as the alpha male sometimes. And the alpha males might still be really toxic, but they'll lead towards him. And I'm like, isn't that fascinating to think about that as a social experiment? While the real leader, in my definition, I'm curious what you think about this actually. This is a work in progress right now for me. And I'm like, the real leader is the man who allows every man to be himself. And they don't need to follow his, you know, his way of doing challenge, but finding out what's your way of challenging yourself that's real and authentic to you. So the leader is making everyone their own sovereign self-leader. I think that man is an artist, and he's powerful because he doesn't have to dominate. While I like to say the toxic or the misaligned, maybe toxic's not, misaligned feels better, not toxic. Misaligned alpha male will be the ones like, we're all going to do it like this, and it doesn't matter, and if you don't do it, you suck, and you're not really challenging yourself. While the real leader is going to go, tell me your truth, and let's challenge you into your alignment. And he won't let up there. He goes, I believe in you, and I want you to challenge your alignment. So I'm curious what you feel from that. I was playing with that concept the other day, because I want to transform men's groups. I want to transform a lot of things on this earth.
It's a lot. No, it's true. No, I think it's so. I think that, bro, is what the men need.
Yeah, I do too.
Like if it, you know, I think we through sports and things like that, it was like that. Like I played sports, it's always like hurry up,
Right.
like, you know, and that we need that. I think
We do.
as a kid.
Yep.
We need that
In degrees, right?
100%. I
Yeah.
think we need that. Like show up at this time, be here at this time,
Right.
get to the gym, show like this.
And a timely everything. Yeah, that real
helps us.
Yeah, it does.
But then as we
Yeah.
get older, it's how do we form that into a circle? And you know, I think it's so empowering to have a man listen, because I don't think we have that enough. Is how are you feeling? Or I'm grateful for you, or I'm proud of you. You know, and there was I listened to a podcast, Lewis Howes. I love School of Greatness, and I've never listened to it, but he has amazing people on. And there was a woman he had on. She said, she was a psychologist. She goes, I challenge you to high five yourself in the mirror every day.
Nice.
And I was like, okay. So I started doing it. And it's honestly crazy, because it's like in a sports game, you hit a buzzer beater or high five. You know, you like any big accomplishment you had as a child, someone high fived you.
That's great.
And now you're in the mirror and you're like, oh, dude, like, you know, it's like, I'm proud of you. But that really did help.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it's so important to have and to be in that and sit in that and have a men's group. I've mentored. I haven't done it for a while because of the Prescott branch kind of collapsed, but Boys to Men, I went through. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's a rites of passage weekend.
Awesome.
I went through it when I was 13. They take these kids between 13 to 13 to 18, and they take them to a weekend in Prescott. And it's a total rites of passage journey, like how they used to take kids. Powerful, bro. One of the most powerful weekends. You see these kids, you know, they get in, they're laughing, they think it's a joke, and they leave crying. They give you a hug, and they come back and mentor like me. That changed my life. But having 60 men, bro, who are CEOs or lawyers or anything, you know, could be anything, volunteer their weekend, and every man is there for them. Right?
Nice.
They're not there. They're not being paid. It's a volunteer thing, and it was really, really powerful.
Dang.
So going through that as a kid, and I think I think men, how you said with men's groups, they need that. There was this one instance we took the kids. It was me too. Like when I went through it, you blindfold them. You take them all the way through this forest. I can't see, bro. Everyone's lined up. All of a sudden, you're in a circle, and then you're taken one by one. They take you up. You still can't see. You're blindfolded, and you walk up, and they say, "Reach in front of you." Okay, it's a ladder. What the hell? So they like walk up the ladder. Like, what the hell? And I hated heights, bro, as a kid. I don't mind it now, but I'm climbing up the ladder, and now they say, now fall.
Woo.
And I'm like, what? You want me to fucking fall? Like, and then all of a sudden, it took me a second, bro, and I fell backwards, and there's 10 men like cradling me, holding me.
Wow.
Like that's
Let's talk about trust.
You know, talk about trust, and I'm like,
crazy.
And then, you know, these men, and you know, there's so many different things, but that whole weekend was really powerful.
Dang.
But I think men need that. They need a place to be vulnerable. They need a place to circle. They need, because I think it turns into that toxic, unaligned. Like I like that better, where it's just aggressiveness. How can they lash out? They hold their emotion in their chest.
Yeah.
They turn into angry, aggressive men. They drink. They turn aggressive. You know, and it's tapping into that and like letting go.
Yeah, I think men are learning to interact with each other from their hearts instead of their power center. I think men are testing each other's power, and that's the old school way, instead of connecting from our hearts. And so that's what my teacher Ellen told me. You know, she's like, men, because of their insecurities, will test each other's power. So I'm like, if I'm insecure in my power, I'm going to test your power. I want to test your power because it's something in me that's still testing me. Once that heals, we can really come from our heart and go, I don't need to test your power. I want to learn who you are. And I have a really good story of this, actually. I was in Maui, and I was bringing back a friend to her car at night. And we're having pizza together. We're at this wonderful restaurant. And I felt this thing come over me. I'm like, something is going to go down tonight. I don't know if you ever felt that before, where something's going to go down and you know it. And you're like, this is like life-threatening. Like I felt it through my body. I was like, fuck. And she looked at me. She goes, what's going on? Are you all right? Because she's like, you're usually present. Like, because I'm usually like here. And I was like watching the surroundings. I was like, something's going to go down. And then I saw these thugs outside the restaurant walk by. And I was like, I said, it's going to be them. And then, you know, we paid the check. We're going back to a parking lot, and it's Paia, Maui, which is kind of a rough, meth-laden place. Bringing her back to her car, and it's this long parking lot off from the city. It's a long, dark parking lot, no lights. And we entered the parking lot. bringing her back to her car, and there's a van parked right there, and 3 big fucking guys get out. Gigantic. They're just muscly. They're on meth. They got bottles in their hands. They're just inebriated. Like they're not functioning. And they looked at me across the parking lot, and I'm just this white dude, and they're like, "What did you say?" And they want to start a fight, and they screamed that from across the parking lot. I'm like, "No, fuck!" I said, "I knew it," and I actually prayed for angels in that moment. I was like, "Yo, angels, like any guides, come in now. Like I don't know what's happening, but this is the moment. I can feel it." "What did you say?" And he comes right in my face, like straight spitting in my face. "What did you say?" He's 6 foot, easy muscles, chain, shirt off, gone, no soul.
Gone.
Like, oh fuck. So I'm locked eyes with him, and I'm like, my heart's like, I'm like, and it got surreal in that moment. Like in this moment, there's 2 ways out. That's what my lower mind said. 2 ways out. I'm gonna tell her to run. And we're just gonna go for it. We're gonna fight, and I'm gonna get killed. Like I'm either gonna die from injury, or I'm gonna be in the hospital. That's all I saw as the options. I was like, "Fucking A." My heart's, and then something came over me. He said, "Stare at him in the eyes. Be with him. Be with him. Be with him." He's gone. I'm like, no soul. Staying with him. He goes, "What did you say? What did you say?" And he has his bottles. Like he's gonna hit me with a bottle in a minute. I can feel it. And then something came out of my mouth, and I said healing. And he's like, his whole pattern disrupt went through his neurons. He's like, "What?" And he's like, "Well, I haven't been sober for 2 days." And 2 of his friends sitting back there too. And I just said, I get it. And he looked at me deeper. And everything shifted in that moment. He looked at me deeper and he went, "All right. Much love, brother."
Oh, shit.
And walked away. I looked at her. She's like, "What the fuck just happened? How are we?" And I said, "Get in your car and go." He might be tranced out. I don't know what's going on. But that moment of connection, of validation, instead of muscling it, I mean, I could only imagine. If I looked away from his eyes, I knew he would have hit me. I could feel it. I was like, if I look away, he's going to hit me. He's on meth. It's very instinctual. When someone's on drugs, it's very instinctual. There's no logic. There's no reasoning. I'm going to be like, "Sir, I didn't say anything." Bam, exactly. Yeah. Well, if I think about it, I didn't say anything, sir. Yeah, that would have been a fight. Yeah. Instead, I said healing. I was with him in the deepest way you could possibly be, and it got out of that situation. And for me, that was that moment of validation and love. Like, are we going to choose a deeper way of connection between men or not? I'm so happy I didn't get fucked up in that moment, because I would have. Even though if I know fighting, I know how to fight, but I would have been overpowered easily. I would have tried, told her to run, watch that. That would have been the worst part, watching her see me get just clobbered. And then hopefully she's okay after that, because I won't be able to fight and protect. And love won the way. Somehow love came in and validated him in that deeper heart-centeredness. And I was fucking terrified. And I asked her, "Do I look terrified?" Because I want to be a man. I was like, how scared did I look? She's like, she was kind. She was like, "No, you did good." I was terrified. But I also stayed in the moment. I stayed it because I chose to act through love, even though I felt fear. And that was pretty, I chose the heart instead of test his power.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many lessons, dude. I mean, I'm so grateful. But that, for me, showed me what's possible on this earth plane between men. And by the way, over there, like, you know, there's a lot of fights happening. People choose people to fight. They look for people, and they clobber them. It's no game. It's real. And when you're put in a real situation, things get real. Life gets real when it gets confronted. And it got confronted there, and I was like, how am I going to respond? From the heart, from my power center, from, you know, as a guy, I validated him, and I believe what happened was he got to be seen in that moment, you know, and bless him. I don't know what happened to him, but bless him. I hope he's sober. I hope he healed something by someone seeing him in a moment.
Well, I think that's like, so like there's ripple effect, right? Like from that, you don't even know. Maybe
dude, I have so many imaginations. I'm like, maybe he's a healer. Maybe he's a counselor. Maybe he's like, go to him one day for a healing session. You know? But
the ripple effect, and even like this or podcast or listening or talking, that it ripples, bro. Like,
it does ripple.
And I think that's been my calling.
Yeah.
Is like being the earth and now trying to ripple that into like
Dude,
the ones around you, because you can feel that, right? And then you tap into other people around you, they tap into you, and it's just so powerful to like be in this space now, you know.
And I want to say kindness is one of the most powerful forces on this planet.
100%.
Kindness is so beautiful. Like kindness, just kind, and it makes me feel great. Like being kind feels good. Like how cool. So that's biofeedback to our soul. If I'm kind throughout the day, I feel great. If I'm generous and kind, it feels amazing. I'm like, life is amazing, you know, and it's cool to feel that and to embody it and give it wherever. And I think blessings come from it. I don't even think about what I get back, but man, my life is one big blessing from just being kind and being of service. It's really nice.
I feel that exact same thing. Like I tell everyone everywhere I go, it's like, I appreciate you.
Yeah, nice. You know? I like
when
that.
I go out to eat, or I appreciate you. I remember just at Trader Joe's yesterday, and I'm grabbing something, and the girl's like, "Oh, I can grab that for you." And I was like, "No, I got." And I grabbed it, and she's like, "I was like, have a great day. I appreciate you." And she's like, looked at me, and she's like, "I appreciate you. Like, thank you for saying that." Like, it's just
nice.
that. You know what I mean?
Man. Yeah.
Like I think as everyone says thank you, but like when I'm at the restaurant, someone says I appreciate you, I'm like.
Yeah,
it hits like, like it's like, okay,
because everyone says thank you. Man. I like that. Yeah,
you know, I appreciate you. Or pick up, you can walk over a piece of trash, pick it up, like you say. It's like, of course, like I don't know when I'm gonna get back from it, but you know, like if I'm gonna walk over it, if I see a piece of trash, I always pick it up.
You know, and kindness and appreciation feeds our cells. It heals the body. The more we're in this attunement of love, because love is a vibration.
100%.
Kindness is a vibration. And if we're entering that vibration constantly, your body's eating that up. And if your body's eating that up, you're healing. You're healing. This healing might be slow, or you might see it significantly. But for me, I'm mostly in a pain-free existence in my body. And I don't believe it's from all the, kung fu for sure and all that jazz. But I think it's more my intention of kindness and love. It really heals the body quickly.
And everything has a vibration, which I think when you start looking at it,
Dude,
I feel like that. It's like anger, sadness, happiness, you know, everything has a vibration. You know, and I think growing up in Sedona has been such a blessing, because
you grew up here. Nice.
I moved here when I was 7, so I basically grew up, and you know, energies, and I grew up in a very, Sedona is a very hippie town. Like it's like
has its style.
Yeah, it has a style. But you can talk to people about healing or energies or chakras or whatever that is, and it's not crazy to us. You talk to other people, and they kind of look at you like, yeah, my chakra's out. Like I'm my heart chakra. But it's so interesting to kind of grow up here and see that. And there's
I always go back to Boston, and I'm like, how are you feeling? Like, how's the energy running through you? And then people are like, what? I'm like, oh, wait, where am I?
Yeah, I remember going to New York last year. Last summer.
Yeah, exactly.
I was with my mom, and I drove out to New York for the day alone, saw my buddy, and we're on the train. And everyone is just like, dude, everyone is just so high strung. You can feel their emotion, shakiness in their body. And I'm like, y'all just need to come to Sedona and meditate.
Yeah, feel yourself, guys. Feel yourself.
Yeah.
You know, oh man, Sedona's a unique place, and maybe we're leading edge to some things for the world to happen. Who knows? Who knows what's happening? But man, people don't know until they know. I didn't know. I mean, coming from Boston, I had to unwind myself here. It took me 3 years. I've been here for 7 years.
Moving from Boston and then coming here, and moving here? When did you move here? Dude,
I was in Ayurveda school.
Okay.
And I gave this lady a healing who was a classmate, and she was from Sedona. I would have never known about Sedona unless I gave her that healing. Something beautiful happened. She goes, "You belong in Sedona." And I was like, "What the hell is Sedona?" She goes, "Just go." And so I went to massage school here, and I was doing healing work and clinical stuff back in Boston. And I got a big yes, and I was like, I got to go to Sedona. Don't know why. And I stayed here for 5 months, and I never left. And I gave my practice away. I gave my apartment away. I gave everything away. Took two suitcases. Started. And then I had to unwind myself because I was so fucking anxious. I was like, how do you not do? Because I came from a culture of, you got to be doing something. And if you're not doing something, you're not valuable. So I'm like, well, if I'm just laying on the couch resting, I should be getting smarter, so I should be reading a book. So I had to unwind all this momentum from not accepting myself just as I am. Sedona did that a lot. I learned how to be. And now I love learning all the time, but I didn't know what being really was deeply. Yeah.
Yeah, Sedona is such a powerful...
Yeah.
Yeah, like...
Sedona, dude.
Like, moving home truly, like I told you, like, really rocked me. But now, sitting here, it's like, you know, everything happens for a reason. Like, it has been such a time for...
Yeah.
You know, and Sedona will put... I think you could probably say the same thing, agree with this.
Yeah.
Sedona will put, like, your stuff in front of you.
Yeah.
And then
that's the funnest part.
And then if you
it doesn't matter where you go.
And then if you just keep running from it, it's like, okay, like, here, you want it some more? And it doesn't stop.
No, it doesn't stop.
And then so some people, and I've seen it kick people out, like, you're not here. And then some people, it's like, okay. And it's like, someone's like, yeah, it's like living in a vortex. Like, bro, like, I just went to the Stupa 2 days ago. Nice. That's my place. I love the Stupa. If I'm ever having a bad day, I just go there and just, like, it's gone.
That's awesome.
You know, and I really resonate with that place. And I remember just sitting there and I was like meditating and sitting in the chair and I could feel my body drifting away. And it was just the most peaceful, like, oneness, you know, like, I'm here. It's beautiful. The birds are chirping. Like, it's just that unwindness is so needed. You know, like, because we're so, how you said, we're so go all the time, you know, and it's like, just to sit in your thoughts, sit and meditate. Just something about
it's a whole nother world.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother world. Like, okay, sure, we can learn out externally, and then there's the inner landscape of being, which is an infinite learning. And I like to say, like, intelligence, I think real intelligence comes from that exploration. So yeah, we can learn book knowledge all day and regurgitate, which is awesome. I love books. I love everything. Like, I love learning. I'm a student. But the inner landscape, that inner landscape is the beginning of authentic wisdom. That's real wisdom right there. And that's an infinite journey. And it's fascinating. It actually makes the brain clear and more efficient. The more we go within and the more clearing we do, the more the mind is efficient. It's amazing, and it doesn't fog up. It becomes very wide awake. And that's a whole explanation in itself, like the Kundalini and how the Kundalini functions. And yeah, man, that is the beginning of everything. Is that inner dive, going, oh my God.
Do you think healing ever stops?
No, not. Do you think anything ever stops? You know, I don't believe there's an end to anything. I don't believe there's an end to life. I don't believe there's an end to healing, knowledge. I think everything's infinite. I was having a really... And I don't think the mind can actually understand that either. I think intuitively, in a deep heart space, we can understand that. But the mind's like, no, there must be. And then it gets all crazy. And it's like, no, there's no end to anything, in my perspective, in my experience, actually. I was having this... I was on psychedelics, this psychedelic THC, and I was doing edibles once. And I was having this really amazing... I've been sober for 18 plus years, but there was one moment where my friend's like, I have psychedelic. When you want to do a ritual around this for healing? I was like, let's go. I had the most profound experience where I was tripping out and I was on the couch for 5 hours straight. And I kept going through spirals of how infinite the mind is. And it was so nauseating because it was infinite. I was like, oh, it doesn't stop. Nothing stops. And I was like, this sucks. And it was like realm after realm. I remember going to this one realm, and then I would you'd have to choose love or fear. And if I chose love, then I would go higher into another realm. Same lesson. It went on forever. But then I remember coming back into my heart, and I was at peace. And then I'd come back in my body, and I'd be like, oh, I'm here. I was like, I found it. And I would only exist there for 15 to 30 seconds, and then I'd be back into the realms. So, there's a part of us that's always in stillness that is forever. And that is something I discovered, and that part is okay with infinity. And healing just happens. We're the evolution of the universe, so it's just going to happen always and forever. And it's kind of fun to think about. I told my parents, I said, don't be afraid of death, be afraid that you live forever. Just to boggle their mind. Don't be afraid of anything. But yeah, it was I don't see an end to anything. Just like there's no end to life. which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know.
Right, like I feel like the healing is like endless, and it just doesn't stop, and it's infinite.
I like to say how we heal changes, though.
Oh yeah.
How we heal is probably a whole subject, which is worthwhile. But like, healing doesn't stop. But how we actually heal and the perspective we have on healing changes through life, and I think that's important. So it becomes a healing for me now becomes like water. It's like the tides, like low tide, high tide, moonrise, moonfall. It's all just moving in a beautiful motion, and I think my only responsibility is to get out of the way the best I can and just allow the life to move through. Yeah.
What is some advice you would give that 11 to 17-year-old Jacob, if you like in this moment right now?
Oh my God, there's so much. Love yourself, trust yourself, trust everything you're feeling. Like, man, you are. Oh, look at this cat.
This kid. I think he just came over for Agassi, bro.
I would give him like, what's
this cat loves Jacob, by the way.
Yeah, this is cute. I would give him. I'd be like, hey, I'd probably tell him. I would love to be my own coach. Like, if I go back in time, like, yo, man, let's start the process. Let's
break out the journal.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go to the mystery schools now. Let's go, bro. I would tell him like, you're perfect just as you are, because I don't think I accepted myself, and so learn to accept myself and all my sensitivities. And okay, you do you now. Still learning to do that, but I think he would have really loved that. And I can always go back through time and do that for him, but. Everything you're feeling, everything you are, your differences are perfect. It's okay. You don't have to fit into a mold. And I think if you could really get that and anchor that, I would have, have that more of as a foundation to navigate some of my sensitivities for sure. I don't think I had that. And it was tricky. Especially I got bullied when I was young too. So that was like being different was like, and then it's like, oh, I need to survive. So I became a really good strategy person, and I could be friends with anyone, which became gift. But I would give him like, trust yourself. It's okay. Trigger people. Go. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You can be different and genius. Be your own genius, which I hope everyone does. Be your genius, which is you. I like to say the genius is a break in the algorithm. That's what genius is.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a break in the algorithm, man. You are a break in the algorithm because you are irreplaceable and you can't create yourself again. So you're a break in God's algorithm. That means you're inherently a genius. If you're yourself. If you're not yourself, you're not a genius. You're someone else. But if you're yourself, you're breaking the algorithm of the evolution of consciousness. Which means that's genius because you're putting new patterns in so it can evolve itself. So genius for me is a pattern that came into existence that hasn't been seen yet. That's for me the definition of genius.
If you could give some advice to someone listening here that's like struggling or like, is on their, just maybe starting their path or about to, what's some advice you could give them?
Struggling? Start writing down how many people actually love you and appreciate you. Start there.
I love that.
Start there. Because I guarantee your glasses need a new prescription. And that's a good place to start.
That's so deep, bro. It's like, okay, shit. All right. Damn, yeah. It's true.
Yeah, that's what I feel. Yeah, start with changing the prescription and then see what changes.
Yeah, I feel like when there's just so much when we're in that place, it's hard to like see it, but it's true, bro. That's so deep.
Yeah, exactly. It's so hard to see it, and yet it's happening for you because God wouldn't put anyone on earth that's not loved. And the angels aren't just these amorphous, cool-looking, gaseous lights. They're people in our lives, or that cat, and and there's more love coming at us than we're willing to admit, and maybe we're afraid of it. So we need to change our prescription.
I love that, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jacob, I'm so proud of you, bro. Like,
dude, thanks.
You know, I mean,
yeah.
you know, like having this
Same.
conversation, like ever since I met you, it's just been,
Dude, thanks, bro.
Yeah, I mean it. Like,
Appreciate
you
that.
really, you've helped a lot of people. You even helped me. I admire you a lot.
Yeah, same, dude.
You know,
Same. Yeah.
and you know, when I met you through Caleb, it was like, you know, I feel like so blessed. You know, not even only for this journey and the things that I've gone through, but like the friends that I've created through this, bro, and the people that I'm surrounded by.
Yeah.
You know, you are really who your best friends are, and like who you surround yourself with is so like I used to be this big had this big circle and I had so many friends, and you know, that's the big like something I've really learned is like boundaries, but also cutting out people that don't serve me anymore.
Good job.
You know, and that's hard, bro.
It is
some
hard.
Some of them are like your best friends.
Oh, it's hard.
You know,
it's probably one of the hardest things to
Yeah.
do. It's goodbyes.
Yeah.
You know, but having the courage to do it.
Yeah. You know, it's heavy, but it's so needed, and you know, we really are kind of the creators of our own world, and so it's like we kind of at the end of the day we get to decide who's in our life and who isn't. You know what I mean? It's not up to them to decide; it's up to us. So, you know, I knew this podcast was going to be like super powerful, bro. I had a feeling when I already talked.
Let's keep amplifying it. Like, subscribe. What else you got going on?
Share it. Get it tattooed on, dude.
Tattoo his face on your body. Come on, commit.
Get on it. Yeah,
for real.
You know,
No,
but
this
true,
is
I'm really excited. I'm gonna have you on a lot more,
dude.
too.
Let's go. I
Yeah.
can talk about, and if you want to get like, and anyone listening, can I?
Yeah, of course.
Anyone listening, if you feel like, yo, I want them to explore in detail a subject, or him to explore with someone else in this subject, say it. Give feedback. Comment. Because that's gonna give not just like a musician playing to a crowd when people give them feedback, it feels good, but really challenge, invite, and participate. Because the more you participate, the more you're connecting to everything, and I think it would definitely amplify this. And
totally
more subjects that people want to tune into would be a lot of fun. And that's just goodness all around.
100%.
Yeah.
And like, you know, Jacob, thank you for always touching everyone you walk into, man. Like you touch, I feel like every time I see you, it seems like just always this light and happy being. And like,
the joy doesn't stop going.
Well, and it's infectious, like how we talked about, like truly, like when you're that light, it ripples to everybody else, right? Like, cause it's, you know, people reach out, people ask you questions, you know, like being the earth, like that's been like my personal journey. It's just being the earth. And it's so powerful. Like when you start doing that, you know, and hold that space.
Yes.
And then people feel they can come to you, and
the higher vibration always wins too. Eventually,
100%.
If people can have this the strength to hold it and notice that, you know, being that light for someone is really, really important, and for ourselves, you know. And this light is earned. It's earned light. It's going through the dark and choosing every day to fight the dragons and the dragon. You know. Probably befriend the dragons is better, but like to really notice what dragons are taking our energy every day. And do you want to be with those dragons anymore? Right? It's like, that dragon doesn't work. That thought form doesn't work. Why am I even playing it? That's being at choice is a game changer. Being at choice, and that's a big part, you know. Yeah, so it's my honor to be here, dude.
Dude, it's my honor to have you. Like, thank you for your time.
You inspired me too, by the way. Your sensitivities, your heart light, and I can see it in your eyes. I can see the glow, bro. I can see the fire that's catching from doing this podcast. I can see it. I can see it in you. This is just the beginning.
I feel that, bro. And it's crazy to think about, because I remember like when I had the unload to do it, and I told Caleb, like, my phone, my laptop broke, and I was telling you earlier too, like my laptop broke, and I went on a trip, and everything was just lining up, and then I had the unload to do it, and then come home, and Caleb's like sitting on the couch. I'm like, bust open the door. I'm like, bro, we need to do a podcast. He kind of like looked at me, and he was like, okay. And then, you know, now it's all kind of just started rolling, and I think I agree with you, bro. I think this is just the beginning, and to be able to have the men reach out and like that want to be on it or things like that. Like, I think it's
exactly.
The men in this world need this. They need a platform to be vulnerable, a safe space. Like they just need a platform to be able to talk to. And So thank you for your time, bro. I fucking love you, and seriously,
Dude,
I'm excited.
thank you, bro.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on some more, and we'll have to get
Cool.
you, me,
Sounds
and Caleb
good.
on this. Dude.
Watch for that one.
But I appreciate you all tapping in. Thank you for
Yeah.
your time watching this. And if, like he said, if you have any things you want us to talk about, other people, or topics, please reach out to me. Comment. A lot of people have on here have my personal cell phone, and please do. So I appreciate you all. Much love, everybody. Thank you.
Peace.